Nope, nope, nope. Cut the intro. Watch this. Yes, yes, sir, yes. Oh my goodness. Give me a moment to catch my breath after that clip and then we'll continue. Ooh, it's a fun build. I know some of you don't like Rivens. I know some of you stumbled in here from League of Legends looking for builds for the character Riven, but you gotta admit, it looks fun. It's a fun build. Okay, let's bring the energy level down. Here's what's going on. This is my new series based on builds that revolve around Riven mods. Pretty much every weapon I use because I got a Riven for it first. I find Rivens to be a lot of fun. The idea of this series isn't so much for you to make this exact same build, although you can try if you want. Because it's unlikely that you're going to roll the exact same Riven mod with the exact same stats. The idea more is to explore the fun things that we can do with Rivens. And then the next time that you finish your daily mission and you get some Riven for some crappy weapon you've never heard of, maybe you can look at it in a different way and find something fun that makes a unique playstyle just for you. Ever since I first thought of this series, I knew that this Mirage build had to be the very first video in the series. It's the perfect example of just everything I want from the series. It's a lot of fun to look at, it's a lot of fun to play, and the process of building this Mirage exemplified not just what I like about Rivens, but also what I like about Warframe in general. So, I know that there's a lot of contention in the Warframe community about some people that like Rivens, some people that don't like Rivens. I wanted to start by taking this way back and first explaining what Warframe is to me, how I think Rivens fit into that, and then we'll get into how I built this Mirage and why it works. So, Warframe is a free-to-play computer game, and this is a computer. Alright, maybe I don't need to take it quite that far back. Okay, so really, what is Warframe? Right? At its most basic elements, it's an action RPG like Diablo or Borderlands or Path of Exile. You grind content to get better gear, to grind content better, to get even better gear, to grind content better, and so on and so on and so on, right? But at the same time, it's also completely different from action RPGs. I mean, for one, the action's actually fun, so the grind doesn't feel like a grind. But there's also so much more variety in Warframe. That's what makes Warframe stand out, to me at least. I mean, in other action RPGs, you often get pigeonholed into a class, a build, or something like that. You invest a lot of time into one character that has one basic build, and if you want to try something different, you start all over. Not so in Warframe. Warframe gives you the option of having a huge variety, like a playground of different builds to play with. For example, Warframe has a lot of weapons, right? And in other action RPGs, weapons might just be like, they might work a little bit different. The most important thing is the stats on them. Warframe weapons do have different stats, but these weapons are radically different. For example, this one's a rifle. This one's an explosive bow and arrow. This is a grenade launcher. This one shoots boxes. This is a tentacle shotgun. But even more important than the variety of weapons is our variety of mods that modify our weapons. Right? These mods, you level these suckers up and they stick with you no matter if you change loadouts or change characters or whatever. And these mods make a huge difference to how our weapons and our frames operate, right? If you go into a mission with a really strong weapon but you don't have good mods, you're not going to do much. This is how we change our playstyle, and there's a lot of mods. Like, seriously, there's a ton of mods. So the way that I see the game is that first you acquire gear, you acquire frames, you acquire weapons, but then the fun part is with the mods and figuring out how you can modify the gear. That's where the creativity comes in. That's what makes the game feel like it's a playground of all these different tools and toys you can throw together to figure out how the game works, to make something that feels like yours, but also just to mix up the game so that every time you play you feel like you're doing something different. Granted, there are some meta cookie cutter builds that become common. But there's enough mods and variety that if you want to throw something together that's uniquely yours, you have the freedom to do that. My audio clip not playing. I'm gonna talk to my sound technician about it. Anyhow, the point is, unlike most action RPGs, Warframe offers you a huge variety in how you approach challenges, and that's where rivens come into play. No, still not talking about that riven. Rivens are unique mods that only fit onto one weapon, and the strength of the riven mod is based on how common it is for Warframe players to use that weapon. So, what they're doing is they're taking weapons outside the, or what they're trying to do, right, is take weapons outside the meta and bring them back into the range of usable weapons. It's not a system that always works perfectly, but generally it's pretty good. So all that stuff I just said about how Warframe is fun to me because of the variety and creativity, yeah, Riven mods come in and they take that to the next level. Not only do they open up the range of usable weapons, but the fact that you can re-roll the stats means that you can custom tailor them to your playstyle. And like I said at the start, this Run Mirage is the perfect example of everything I've been talking about. So here's the story of how this build came together and what makes it work. Okay, I finished the daily mission and I got a riven for the Penta. I remember the Penta being fun, but nobody uses it anymore. Let's see if it has any good stats that a riven could boost up. Yeah, okay, it's got decent crit chance and decent status chance. Okay, I rolled crit chance plus toxin and cold to make viral damage. It gives the Penta 100% chance to crit? Ooh, what if we had 100 munitions? Then our crits have a chance to do damage over time. Okay, that's pretty good, but it's annoying how the grenade bounces all over the place. Wait, I think the Penta has a mod that makes the grenade stick and pull enemies towards it. That's pretty cool, but it's not doing much against high-level enemies. Maybe if we use a frame that buffs damage. Okay, that's working well, but when it doesn't proc both the slash and the viral, it's really frustrating. If only there was a way to shoot more projectiles to increase the chance of proccing both slash and viral. Oh my god, we can use Mirage and her clones! Mirage and her clones make it almost certain that you're both going to proc viral to cut the enemy's health in half, and proc hunter munitions to do that damage over time. She also has a third ability that buffs damage. Here's where the bombing run part comes in. Mirage is really squishy, and you already want to be jumping around while using the Penta so you get away from the explosion, so we use Aviator to reduce the damage we take while in the air, and Ice Spring to give us more time in the air. Let's flesh out the build some more. We're obviously going to take a melee weapon, but we're not going to use the melee weapon to do damage on this build. Instead, let's build it for utility. The Secure Electa is fast and has long range. We build it entirely for proccing radiation damage so it confuses enemies, making them attack each other and not us. On our Sentinel, we use the R-Tax, also proccing radiation damage, confusing enemies even more. After all that testing, it was very satisfying to see the build come together and see that it works. I mean, it's not the strongest thing ever, but it works, and it's fun. That's cool. So all the future videos in this series are going to do a similar thing. I mean, they're not going to be as long, right? They don't need to have that introduction stuff. But they're all going to look at kind of the theory of how to use rivens, how a build comes together, and unique, weird, fun ways to play the game. With that being said, if you care to stick around, here's what the Mirage bombing run build looks like in practice. Hey Jimmy, play that clip!